Hello everyone, welcome to the reading of the Emporia Writers Group. My name is Lindsey Bartlett and I am acting as MC tonight because Tracy Millian-Simmons could not be here. So first of all, I want to thank the Library Archives for hosting us this evening and allowing us to do this at least once every fall and spring, so thank you very much to them. And so we're just going to... and also thank you to Rebecca Curry, who is part of the reason why we are able to do this. Anyway, I'm just going to turn over the mic now to our first reader, who is Deb Irsik.
Okay, maybe we're all acting like first graders, so I signed up to number 1. Oh dear. So we had that wonderful evening when I think Rachelle introduced us to the Where I'm From poem. Oh, that was Brenda? Okay, well, I wrote 2 of those, and then I took it to my critique group, and they recommended that I put them all in one. So now I have one, and I'm going to read it to you. Where I'm from. I am from severed vows and chaos. I am from Grandma's safety net. I am from Grandpa's roll your own smokes and Lawrence Welk. I am from rural communities, equal parts faith and gossip. So small your parents knew what you had done before you got home. I am from bell-bottoms, war, and POW bracelets. I am from slow-fried chicken on Sunday. I am from long, straight hair parted in the middle. I am from miniskirts rolled at the waist. I am from siblings, yours, mine, and theirs. I am from work, pulling weeds, raking yards, and riding the back of a pickup truck with our legs dangling out the back. I am from sledding out front on Bolus Street, riding bikes and roller skates with keys. I am from Red Rover, hopscotch, and jacks. I am from watermelon with seeds and salt and playing king on the mountain on giant tractor tubes. Sorry. I am from sock hops and Beatles records, girls dancing with girls. I am from driving harvest trucks, waiting in long lines of sweaty custom cutters. I am from water skiing at Cedar Bluff, milk cows and horseback riding. I am from class rings going steady and virgin brides. I am from capris called pedal pushers and thongs that went between our toes. I am from prom queens, garter belts, tube tops, and scooter skirts. I am from the era of classic stars, Annette Funicello, Sophia Loren, Barbara Eden, Bridget Bardot, Troy Donahue, and Sandra Dee. I am from Bonanza, Big Valley, Red Skeleton, Ed Sullivan, and Here's Lucy. I'm from playing outdoors in the dark, Gunsmoke or the Lone Ranger. I am from riding our pretend horses and shooting at each other with cap guns. I am from playing with paper dolls, Barbies, and dress-up, or reading Nancy Drew, Boxcar Children, and weekly visits to the library. I am from summer days in the city pool. I am from a simpler time, but innocence was like fog. Sometimes it blinded, and sometimes it sheltered. So I have one other, well, it isn't a real short one, but this is a story poem about growing up at Grandma's. Here it is, Brenda. Oh, you can sign this thing too. It's called Dress Up. We played for hours in the yard behind Grandma and Grandpa's buff-colored stucco house, the house that contains most of my early childhood memories. My oldest sister, Linda, brother Rick, and I would while away summer days playing house and dressing up. We modeled cast-off dresses with hats, high heels, and gloves. My brother indulged us when we dressed him up, pretending to carry on the daily activities of life. There happened to be an older boy, David, that we were all in awe of. David lived across the street. One warm day, we were all decked out, including Rick. We sashayed into 2 big heels down the driveway to the front of the house. David walked out of his house, and my 9-year-old brother shed dress and heels with lightning speed, afraid he'd been seen by the lanky teen across the street, across the shaded street. Oh, I didn't say.
No, you're good.
Should I say who's next? I didn't shoot.
All right, next up is Rachelle Zumbrum.
I remember when she was Rachelle opinionated.
Yeah, those were the days.
Oh, our city council did opinionated just silence. Oh, it's understood.
It's understood. Yeah, it's just implied.
It's not inferred, it's blatant.
Okay, so like Deb, I also wrote 3 separate, but they're shorter, I'm from poems. And they're about my childhood. So, I am from a place that reeks of burning blood, warm sugar, and rotting soybeans. From a 2-story red brick library and parks with ponds. I am from hardworking, dusty farmers and sore-footed waitresses. And from, I'm not sleeping, I'm just resting my eyes. I am from a field of sunflowers who always reach for the light even on the darkest days. I am from writing stories and reading books and listening to Jose Cuevero on 61 Country every Friday morning. I am from Joe and Sue, and from grilled steaks on a summer's evening and homemade spaghetti on a Sunday afternoon. I am from those moments when the sun is setting, painting the sky with cotton candy pink and dusky purple. That was the first one. I am from a mint green farmhouse at the end of a dusty road, from front porch swings and pink Barbie cars. I am from hickory striped coveralls and little golden books, and from we sure could use some rain. I am from narrow trails through thick grass leading to a narrow river whose presence reminds me of grand adventures of long ago heroes. I am from short bike rides and long walks and the Wabash Cannonball. I am from Walter and Betty Jean. I am from from Sunday pot roast and angel food strawberry glazed birthday cakes. I am from those moments when a summer breeze kisses my cheek and all the world is good. Okay, and the final one is, I am from a living room with a big picture window overlooking a fanciful yard. From matchbox cars and a panda-shaped children's chair. I'm from pipe tobacco and mismatched recliners. And from want in one hand, spin in the other, and see which one fills up faster. I am from majestic willow trees whose branches provide ample space for childhood play. I am from old books and the Dukes of Hazzard and Charlie Pride's Kiss an Angel Good Morning. I am from Leah and Ross. From frozen chocolate-covered Hostess donuts for breakfast and mustardy potato salad on the 4th of July. I am from those moments when the fireworks spin out and blossoms into the perfect red lantern.
Thank you, Rachelle. Next up is Carol Shoeck.
Yep, very good.
Okay, so I'm being really brave. I have not done creative writing in such a long time, but it's something that I'm working on this year. And over the last 5 years, I was caregiver for my mother-in-law who had Alzheimer's. And that's a lot of what I've been processing. So I have a couple that are about my mother-in-law, Doris. Blue cars. She watches out her window, looking for the blue car, knowing he is out in the world. She remembers the color of his car, and she misses him. She watches out the window for the blue car that will never come again and forgets that he is not in this world, but she remembers that she loves him. And then my second one is called Lost Love. I always tell her I love you when I leave. She doesn't remember who I am, but she knows that she is loved. And love is the last thing they lose.
Very nice, Carol. Thank you for facing your fears. Next up is Lisa Moritz.
All right. I've been writing lots of poems, and this is one that I wrote when Alexa Dawson had the Freaky Folk Friday where they brought in the Bluegrass Band, and I went to 10 West. And this is about that. It's called Friday Night at 10 West for Alexa D. On stage at the dive bar, a woman in red moccasins sings the Radiohead song about wanting to be special but feeling like a creep. And I think about how we all exist on the fringe, live a little tattered, like the edges of the vest she wears. She belts notes from the bottom of her soul, and her voice holds the whole room, consoling lonely ghosts hidden in our hearts. Then she gets to the bridge, and her voice soars more, a note that grows and floats like some phantom hope above the din and the drinkers, among the rafters and spotlights, and me here listening alone at the edge of a stranger's table, drinking my vodka, soaking in the spirit and the sound. And this is a poem. You remember a few weeks ago we were all at the bookstore and we were making the little chapbooks? Not chapbooks, what are they called? Zines. And I spent so much time drawing this vine through all the pages of mine that I didn't have time to write a poem, but I wrote one later. Inspired by my tattoo. It's called The Vine. The line of this vine winds freely to your heart from mine, drips with jewels so fine they drop turquoise petals and ruby pebbles down around the ground where we lie, limbs intertwined. We have planted ourselves here in a garden we tend with tenderness until roots to stem we blossom in undeniable sweetness. So delicate and delicious is our love, we can't erase the taste from our tongues. Kisses have become our only food. This vine binds us, tethered as we are, captivated and entwined in infinitely new shades of green. And let's see, I'll just do one more because we've got a lot of people. And this is one that I wrote not long ago, but I included it on the back of the handout when we were doing the Natalie Goldberg exercises at the writers group a few weeks ago. And it's about seizing inspiration the moment it strikes you. It's called Dancing with My Muse. Muse, I must seize you the moment I see you, the moment your presence suggests a song wants to be played, and maybe even before that. I need to grab your hand and start twirling you, make your colorful skirt fan out the second the music starts, or better yet, before the band has set up, or better still, before the song has even been written. Yes, my elusive partner, you are ever fluid, and like a suitor vying for a lover's hand, I must act fast, fashion my body in the pose of a gypsy, slip my hand around your thin waist and spin you without hesitation. I must succumb to the sound of that very first note, your initial invitation to set things in motion. Before I have time to question whether I know the steps, before I start to doubt my moves, before my mind tells me I'm not much of a dancer.
So I am next, and I'm going to read a chapter from my historical fiction novel that is in progress. Right now, the working title is called Ada and the Vote. This takes place in 1911, and it's a young woman. She's a teenager who is just discovering that women don't have equal rights in terms of being able to vote, and she is wanting to learn more about this, and it takes place in Kansas. Almost 2 weeks after Ada had mailed the request for information about women's suffrage, she received an envelope in the mail. Her mother hands it to her as she comes in from gathering the eggs. "This is for you," is all she says, though the look in her eyes and her pursed lips tell Ada all she needs to know. Ada has to contain her excitement until she is in her bedroom. Flopping down on the quilt, she rips the envelope open. Inside are several pamphlets full of information on the suffrage movement in Kansas, as well as information about the leaders. As she browses the pamphlet, a name draws her attention: Lucy B. Johnston. She was the one Ada had heard the men in the store mention, the one who was married to someone in the legislature. A brief bio about Lucy Johnston reads, Lucy B. Johnston served as president of the Kansas Equal Suffrage Association. Johnston grew up in Ohio before moving first to Minneapolis, Kansas, where her brother owned a farm. She was tasked with starting a school there. However, the school did not take off. She later married Canadian-born lawyer William A. Johnston in 1875. He was elected to the Kansas legislature. The couple live in Minneapolis with their 2 children, Margaret and John. While Ada is reading, Hamrick appears in the doorway of the bedroom. "What's all that?" He gestures at the papers surrounding Ada and on the bed. "Just some stuff I got in the mail," Ada replies. "What kind of stuff?" Ada sighs. "Do you know what suffrage means?" Hamrick thinks for a moment. "I've heard of it before, but..." He trails off. "Just tell me, Ada. When Mom and I went to town a few weeks ago to sell pies, I overheard some men talking about an editorial article in the paper about women's suffrage. Suffrage means the right to vote, and right now there's a push for the women of Kansas to be able to vote. But can't they already vote? Only in certain elections, mostly local, like the school board." Hamrick doesn't say anything. Ada turns her attention back to the pamphlets, when Hamrick, whose brain has already moved on to other topics more exciting to a 12-year-old boy, asks, "Do you want to ride horses with me before Uncle Frank and Aunt Betty come for dinner?" As much as she wants to stay and continue to read, Ada couldn't pass up a horse riding opportunity. Setting the papers in a neat stack on her bedside table, she stood up. "Of course, let's go." "Race you to the barn." Hamrick turns and heads for the stairs. Ada close at his heels. The kitchen door slamming shut behind them. In the barn, they saddled their respective horses, Polly and Gus. Hamrick opened the back door of the barn, and Ada walked the horses out to the pasture. Passing the rein of Gus to Hamrick, she shut the barn door behind them. Swinging herself into the saddle, the 2 siblings took off at a swift trot through the open pasture. It was a beautiful afternoon. The sun was high in the sky, and only a few puffy white clouds broke up the clear blue. A light breeze rustled through the grass. Ada watched a meadowlark alight on a fence post before the moving horses scared it off. She didn't always enjoy all the farm work, or all the work farm life involved, or seeing the worry it appeared to cause her father. But on her horse, moving swiftly through the pasture with the breeze in her hair, she felt she could deal with the work, as long as there were moments like this. They dismounted at a small pond to let the horses drink. Ada took off her shoes and dipped her toes in the water. It was cool and felt good on this warm June day. She desperately wanted to strip down to her skivvies and go for a dip. However, she knew if she showed up at home with wet hair and rumpled clothes, she would get a lecture from Ma about acting like a proper young lady. And proper young ladies did not swim in their underthings in farm ponds. Ada had determined that being a proper young lady just meant you weren't able to do anything fun. When her and Hamrick returned to the barn, Pa was there cleaning out the stalls with a pitchfork. They quickly unsaddled the horses and set to work helping Pa clean the stalls, and then setting down fresh hay for the horses, before grooming Pauline and Gus. When they were finished, Pa put away the shovels and pitchforks, then turned to them. Frank and Betty will be here soon. We best get cleaned up. After a hearty meal topped off with an apple cobbler for dessert, they adjourned to the back porch. Ma brings out a pot of tea and everyone helps themselves. She also brings out a blanket and Ada helps her arrange it on the grass for Imogen to lay on. Ma retreats into the house to converse with Aunt Betty. Ada keeps an eye on her little sister while also keeping an ear turned to the conversation between Pa and Uncle Frank. You worry too much, Peter, her uncle is saying. Worrying doesn't do you a damn bit of good, you know. Frank, this is my livelihood, how I feed and clothe my family. I can't afford another bad crop. Last year wasn't the best. But it wasn't the worst either, right? Ada sees her father shake his head, brow creased. It may not have been the worst, but that doesn't mean much. When it comes to raising crops, it's mostly down to luck. Luck if it rains at the right time, luck if the crop isn't destroyed by bugs or bad weather. You of all people should know that, Frank. Frank pulls out his pipe and a pouch full of tobacco. He offers some to Ada's father, who shakes his head. I don't know how you stand that stuff, says Peter, watching Frank stuff tobacco into the bowl of the pipe. Frank shrugs and pulls a book of matches from his pocket, strikes one and sticks the flame into the pipe. He puffs a few times, then shakes out the match. Frank turns his attention to Ada. Tell me you aren't as glum as your father, he winks. Frank, Pa snaps, but Frank ignores him, focusing on Ada. Ada giggles at the exchange. You still reading all them books? Ada nods enthusiastically. Sure am. Lena gave me a book by one of the Bronte sisters. The Brontes, eh? Uncle Frank puffs on his pipe. Smoke floats away on the breeze. Imogen has fallen asleep on the blanket, 2 fingers in her mouth. I never was much into reading. From his chair on the other side of Uncle Frank, Pa snorts. Frank glances his way but doesn't say anything. Ada ducks her head so they can't see her smile. She considers mentioning to her uncle about her trip to town and the men upset about women's suffrage. But the moment is lost when Ma and Aunt Betty join them on the porch. What a beautiful evening, Aunt Betty says. There are murmurs of agreement, and the adults fall back into a conversation of little interest to Ada. She sighs and watches dusk fall over the farm. And next up we have Curtis Becker.
Curtis!
Yeah, the mic is kind of hot tonight. Greetings all. I am going to read a piece of fiction called 11 Years. If it does go on too long, Lindsey, please give me the hook or something. When I was 29, I wasn't looking for you. When you were 18, you didn't know that I was the one you were looking for. I felt like an old man when I was 29. To me, you seemed to be a child in so many ways. I was not looking to take care of a child. You were looking for an older man and set your sights on me. You were worldly, and I was still naive. You taught me what it was like to be pursued, and I taught you how someone scared avoids being caught. That one summer night when I was 29 and you were 18, you kissed me for the first time, and I was yours. I was hooked. You and me became we. When I was 30 and you were 19, you were committed for the first time. I felt like a failure in a relationship when I was 30. You felt like a failure when you were 19. It was the pills, I think, but maybe it was something else. I did. I probably corrupted you. I caused you to feel like this at 19. When I was 30, I waited faithfully for you. I texted you and stared at the phone, waiting for your reply. When you were 19, you left the hospital and you stayed with another guy. Your mental health became a wall that you hid behind. My need to recapture what we had became my crutch. When I was 31 and you were 20, you admitted to me that admitted to me what you had done and told me that now he meant nothing to you. When you were 20 and I was 31, I remembered your birthday, and I bought you a t-shirt I thought would highlight the brilliance of your eyes. They are piercing and were angry at the world when you were 20. Your eyes softened when you saw me, and I was hooked again when I was 31. I was going to save your eyes and take away the angry. When I turned 32, you forgot my birthday, but you gave me the gift of a broken heart. You were 21 and needed to be young and party. I needed a quiet night at home with someone I loved, to sit in your presence, to feel you against me as we watched some cheesy show on TV. It was the best gift I was given that year because it taught me that I needed to move on. You told me I could do better than you when you called things off. I was 32 that night, and you were gone. When I was 32, I tried to find someone else. There was a long line of possible replacements, but they were just 31, 28, 33, 27. None were 21 and none were you. When I was still 32, I decided to get a dog. He and I sat on the couch. I was in his presence and felt him against me as we watched some cheesy show on TV. We went for walks and became best friends. He kept my house from being quiet and had eyes that looked at me like yours did. When you were 21, I didn't know what you did, and I really don't want to know because I think it would hurt me even more. When you were 22, I was 33 and I had moved on. My dog and I were happy, and then you called. When you were 22, you missed me. I missed you. You had moved across the country for some guy who wasn't treating you well. Did I want you back? Of course I did. When I was 33, I should have admitted that I loved you when you adored me and wanted me to save you. When you were 22, you wanted money so you could get away and move back here where your family was and where I am. When I was 33 and you were 22, I sent you money to get away. You came home and stayed with your sister. I saw you once. When I was 33, I learned what it was like to spend as much money on one date where I was in your presence and felt you against me as we watched some cheesy show on TV. Your eyes were no longer angry. They were just sad. I wanted to fix that. On your 23rd birthday, your sister told me that you moved across the country for yet another guy who wasn't treating you well. I told my dog, we are done, but he didn't believe me. When I turned 34, my dog and I celebrated. He had a pup cup and I ate my feelings. We ended the night watching something cheesy on TV with his warm body against mine, with me missing your sad eyes. That year, I was 34 and you were 23. I bought a house and moved out of the one I was renting. I built a fence for my dog and wondered if you were making poor decisions again. How sad are your eyes now? When you were 24 and I was 35, you got a tattoo on your forearm. I didn't see it that year, but eventually I would hate it. Why would you do something like that to your beautiful forearm? I would learn to deal with that during another year. When I was 35, I had to learn to deal with cancer. My dog's cancer was aggressive, and I spent a lot of money trying to keep my best friend alive. It didn't matter. When I was 35 and you were 24, I mourned for my pup and the short life he had. I got a promotion at work and bought a flashy car. When you were 25 and I was 36, I saw your tattoo for the first time. You were back living with your sister. At least I didn't pay for your trip home this time. We had coffee, and I tried to accept that my feelings on your tattoos were not the same as other people. I tried to love it because you loved it, but it just seemed like a blemish. We had coffee several times when I was 36 and you were 25. You hugged me when I told you about my dog. Your eyes were sadder than mine were, thinking about the loss of my best friend. When I was 36, I wondered what your 25-year-old eyes had seen since you turned 18. How can your eyes be that sad? When I was 36 and you were 25, I asked you if you would want to live with me instead of your sister. You told me you were no good and you would only hurt me. You told me to find someone else. You wanted me to be happy, you said. When you were 25, you disappeared again without me being able to show you how much I could love you. When I was 37, 38, and 39, and you were 26, and 27, and 28, you were gone. And I thought it was for good this time. I bought plants and I worked on my house. I changed the landscaping and painted the trim. I installed a fire pit and a hot tub. When I was 38, I lost my dad, but you never knew him. We were just us and really didn't know much about our families. I attended the funeral alone. I cried a lot that year. I lost my dad. I dated some after that, but nobody was you, and I bought another flashy car and wished you were able to sit next to me. When I was 39, I found out your sister was not your biological sister. She was just a friend who had the honorary title. She said I was the best thing to happen to you. I doubted her. When I turned 40, I felt really old. You were 29, the age I was when we started. You remembered my birthday and called me. I was happy to hear from you when I was 40 and you were 29. You told me that the guy you were with, a guy 350 miles away, was abusive. You wanted to come stay with me. You said you would be all mine. You offered to stay in my basement with the sole purpose of making me happy. You cried and you begged. I wondered how sad your eyes were. I missed them a lot. When I turned 40 and you were 29, I told you no, and I was free. I'm thinking about throwing.
All right, next up we have Hazel Hart.
Okay. So that's way up there, huh? All right, are we there?
Yeah, I don't hear you.
It'll do. All right. Okay, well,
Yes.
I've written a fairly short story. I don't have a title yet, so if anybody thinks of anything, let me know. I've always given my daughter Florence the best advice, and she's always rejected it. That is, until I died, and I left her the beautiful diamond and gold wristwatch my mother had given me. Along with the gift had come my mother's advice. This watch is a symbol of how money leads to evil, and you must always reject anyone who offers riches. Your father was obsessed with money to the point of committing fraud to get it. When he was caught and imprisoned for his crime, his love of money crushed our life together. I tried to follow her advice and was always careful to avoid riches, but that made Florence, my daughter, more eager for them. Her disappointment when she couldn't go to some camp with her friends, or I couldn't afford the prom dress she wanted, made her even more determined to get a well-paying job or marry a wealthy man. According to Florence, money could buy happiness.
She became a model, and I was not pleased with her assignments, which seemed a little too suggestive to me. When I advised her to reject such jobs, she said they were necessary to what she called the finer things. The one thing I had that Florence truly wanted was the watch my mother left me. So when I died, it became hers. She wore it proudly, not knowing I had tucked my spirit inside and was influencing her choices in a way I had never been able to do when I was alive. My first triumph was when she passed on an advertising contract to be a spokesmodel for a swimsuit line. The payment would have made her comfortable for at least a year. I feared my influence was failing until at the very last minute, she threw the pen down and ran from the company's office. And then there was her relationship with a politician. He had plenty of money, and you know how politics and corruption go together. When he proposed, I sent all kinds of warning, saw her ready to tell him no, and then she looked at the watch, ripped it from her wrist, and my influence was gone. She said yes to the marriage proposal and buried me in the bottom of a dresser drawer. I thought I'd never see daylight again. That's what I got for trying to save her from an unhappy life. 25 years later, the afternoon my mom gave me a box of donations to take to the church rummage sale, I dug around in the contents before delivering it. I couldn't believe what I found, a gold and diamond wristwatch. It must have cost a fortune, even back in the day when it was new. Mom loved nice things, so I wondered why I'd never seen her wearing it. Now she was giving it away. She liked expensive stuff, lived for it even. Well, if she didn't want it, I did. I put it on my wrist and delivered the rest of the items to the lady running the sale. "That's a lovely watch," she said. "Isn't it your mother's? I don't think I've seen Florence wear it since before she married your father." "That long?" I asked. "I have to check with her when I get home." Mom didn't give me time to ask anything. The minute I walked in the door, she took one look at me, pointed at my wrist, and gasped, "Take that off. Take it off now. You'll be sorry if you don't." Honestly, Mom went completely bonkers. Why would I be sorry about wearing a valuable family heirloom? Then the phone rang. It was the call I'd been waiting for. My agent told me a publisher wanted the cozy mystery I had submitted. I was going to be a published writer. I had a moment's thrill, and then fear set in. I didn't know what I was afraid of, but I froze. When I caught my breath, I managed to blurt, "I changed my mind. I don't want to be published." I ended the call and stared at the screen. What had I done? I turned to my mom, who was shaking her head. She pointed at the watch. "Grandma strikes again."
All right, next up we have Luke Johnson.
Come on, you do better than that. Come on, here. Thank you. No more, please give me more. Thank you. Thought I'd read a short section from a short story I wrote. It's called Center Take All. It's about this really gun-lucky banker who has no luck with women until he meets a chance encounter with a mysterious man. It's a little short section from that. Okay, and to set this up, he has just came back from a really unsuccessful date, and he's had a few chance encounters with a shady salesman, let's say. And they finally agree to meet face to face. It starts up like this. The next morning, he ate his breakfast and prepared himself for his mysterious visitor. At precisely 1 o'clock, someone knocked at Perry's apartment door. Whatever he was expecting, it was certainly not what he found before it was opened. Before now, he had not taken a good look at the stranger. He looked like something straight from a Fitzgerald novel. Dressed in a black three-piece suit, however, it was not respectable black. It was the color of burned paper, of a dark alley at midnight. The shirt was blood red, slashed with white stripes, but the collar and cuffs were blinding white, like they'd never seen a day's dirt or had been scrubbed by less than holy hands. The look was completed with a red bow tie, a derby hat set low over one eye, daring you to guess what lay beneath. The remains of a cigar hung in his mouth. "Are you the man who called my phone yesterday?" Perry asked. "That's right," the man said after taking a long draw of his cigar. "Won't you come inside, Mr. The name," the stranger told him, for future reference, is Bertrand Leland Zabub. "My friends call me B.L." Perry said, "Well, come inside, Mr. Zabub." The man stepped inside and immediately sat on the couch. "Can I get you anything?" Perry asked. "No, thank you," Mr. Zabub supplied. "Unless you have any gin." Perry told him, "Well, you're in luck. I just have to have a fresh bottle of Gordon." He poured the old man a glass of gin and sat in front of Mr. Zabub. The man pulled out a fresh cigar out of his pocket and put it in his mouth. "Pardon me," Mr. Zabub said, "but would you happen to have a lighter on you?" Perry replied, "No, I don't smoke." Never mind, Mr. Zabub replied. "I found one." With that, the man lit his cigar. Strangely, for a brief moment, Perry thought it looked as though the fire shot directly out of the man's index finger. He took a long draw off and blew smoke. "Now then, my boy, let's get down to the matter I came to discuss." "That's right," Perry said. "You think you can help me with my problems with women." "I don't think, I know I can," Zabub replied, "and please call me B.L." "All right, B.L., are you the president of some Lonely Hearts Club?" "No," Zabub said, looking Perry right in the eyes, "but I can fix it so that every woman in this county will find you absolutely irresistible." Perry could not believe his ears. "I mean it. Some women will faint at the mere sight of you. They'll fall at your feet, they'll beg for kisses, they'll hang on to your every word. They'll find everything you say extremely fascinating. Come to the point where they beg you for dates, beg to be with you, if you know what I mean." Zabub winked. What will I have to do?" Perry asked. Zabub smiled. He smiled like a man whose face was totally foreign to the expression. It was a smile a lion might give when he sees an unsuspecting gazelle before the pounce. "Not much," Zabub replied, "but for this to work, I need something from you." Perry asked, "How much will this cost me?" "Oh, I don't mean money," Zabub replied. "I need a little piece of your makeup." "My makeup?" Perry said, confused. "A fiber of your being," Zabub continued, "a fragment of an atom of your structure, 3/4 of an ounce of your makeup, or soul." "My soul?" Perry stood shocked for a moment. "Wait a minute. Beelzebub? Beelzebub? You're the devil." "At your service. Now to the transaction. I get your soul, and you in turn become a great lover." Perry could not believe his ears, and his mind raced with possibilities. "Well, I don't know," he said. "Think of the opportunities," Zabub replied. "You'll be the envy of every man." "Well, I'm gonna miss it?" "Miss what?" "My soul." "No, don't worry about it. You'll never even know it's gone." "All right," Perry said. "It's yours." Zabub grinned. "That's what I wanted to hear. Now, where did I put the contract?" He patted his suit and checked his pockets. "Oh, I remember." He snapped his fingers and the contract appeared in his right hand. Perry looked on in astonishment and Zabub placed the contract on the table before him. "Sign here, please." Perry signed the contract. "Perry Fleming." There we are. "Congratulations," Zabub purred. "You're now the most irresistible man in the Tri-County area, at least until the paperwork clears." And with that, Zabub straightened his cuffs and tipped his derby. "Oh, and the redhead next door knocked twice. She dreams about you." And with a gust of brimstone and a sly smile, the man was gone. "All right, I will." "All right, I will." And with that, Zabub vanished. Taking the devil's advice, he walked straight to the apartment door. Audrey Traskers was an extremely attractive redhead Perry had gotten to know from passing each other in the hall and on the stairwell. Occasionally she said thank you to him when he held the door open for her, but that was it. Perry knocked on the door. The door opened. Standing before him was Audrey. "Hello, Perry," she said. "Hello, Miss Traskers," Perry said. Audrey looked at Perry the way an alcoholic who hadn't had a drink in a week would look at a glass of bourbon. "Please," she said, "call me Audrey." Perry replied, "All right, Audrey. I was wondering if you didn't have any plans tonight and want to go to dinner with me." "I'll follow you anywhere," she said under her breath. "I mean, yes." So she took her to dinner. And that's where we leave off. One more of it, you'll have to hear the story. Thank you, thank you.
All right, next up we have Rachelle Smith.
So this is a flash fiction piece. I'm still working on it, so this is the second version. The title is On a Cold Winter's Night. Boss, Frank's fighting some alien guy in the bar. Should I call the cops or just use slugger? Loretta asked. James looked up from his overflowing desk. Strings of Christmas lights stretched along it, successfully competing with the dim fluorescent tube above. For a moment, he just stared at it, then picked up his cell phone and punched 911. Hi. Yes, we have two people fighting in McCoy's Bar and Grill, 1612 Main Street. Can you send someone immediately? No, I'm the owner. Yes. Yes. Thanks. James waved both hands toward Loretta, shooing her out of his way as he stepped out of his tiny office and headed toward the front of the bar. Look at them boys go at it, Loretta snickered from behind him. Frank, 6'2" and at least 300 pounds, had a skinny green creature in a headlock. He was doing his best to get it to release the thing it carried by thumping its clenched appendage repeatedly on the polished wooden bar. Frank, James yelled, let it go. The fuck I will, Frank said, as he staggered back from a powerful punch to his belly delivered by the creature's scaly elbow. It tried to shoot me with this here laser gun. Oh, it did not, you drunk fool, a woman called out from the far end of the bar. It was just carrying it, its claw, when it came in. No sooner had she finished speaking than James heard the sound of a siren, and the creature succeeded in flipping Frank around and sliding him, head first, a good 15 feet toward the back door. Here comes the po-po, Loretta announced, back behind the bar and cradling the baseball bat James kept for just such occasions. Red and blue cop lights began to strobe through the window. Hearing this, Frank's buddies hauled him up with practiced ease and dragged him, protesting, out the back door. The creature, clearly exhausted by its fight with Frank, stood to its full 5 feet, rounded shoulders erect, and turned to face James. James felt his breath still as he saw the creature's face for the first time. This wasn't a kid in a costume as he had assumed. Its eyes were huge, elliptical, and dark as a town's frozen river. Its wide slit of a mouth was rimmed in wet red flesh, with a glimpse of triangular-shaped teeth. The door behind James opened, admitting a freezing cold wind and 2 police officers. What's going on here? The taller of the two asked. He looked at James, then turned to the creature. Wrong season for Halloween costumes, isn't it? With a voice at once low and sibilant, the creature snapped, a gift from my people to yours, and slammed a silver cube onto the bar. First turning in the direction Frank and company had exited, the creature then stopped and turned back to James. You people suck. Everyone in the bar watched in silence as it left through the tinsel-festooned back door. What should we do about this? Loretta asked, waving at the featureless cube. James noticed she had disappeared slightly. Send it to the White House, some wit called out to general laughter. For a long moment there was silence. Right, the first officer said, while his partner stood staring in disbelief after the creature. So, everything's okay here. The woman at the bar turned back to the ball game she'd been watching. Yes, James said. Thank you for coming so fast. I think we're good now. Okay, we'll be off then, he said, moving to leave. But Bert, his partner said, that there weren't no kid in a costume. Of course it was, Ernie. What else could it be? He replied, holding the door open for his partner. Ernie followed, but not without looking both ways down the sidewalk before exiting. James walked up to the bar where Loretta was busy twisting and turning the creature's gift as if it were a Rubik's Cube. What does this thing even do? She asked. Who knows? James shrugged and took a seat. Do you smell something odd? Yeah, Loretta said. It's that alien guy's cologne. Kind of reminds me of fresh iron cotton shirts crossed with Red Hot's candy. Huh, James said. But she was right. The creature's scent was hot, dry, and spicy. May I see it, Loretta? Sure, she said, handing it over. Fascinated, James hefted the cube, which was rather light for something with no seams or markings. Maybe it was hollow, I thought. If it was a gift from one species to another, it was pretty unimpressive. Why come here to his bar, in this small, unimportant town in the United States? Better question, what the hell should you do with it? Who to call? Hey, boss, was that a real alien? Loretta asked. Yes, I think so, James replied. Well, we could have at least bought him a beer.
Wait, I thought of all of that.
Next up is Kerry Moyer.
Hi. So, I'm reading off my phone because usually these things, they're all putting up poems and they're all pretty short, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I was thinking about the last time I saw my great-grandmother in a nursing home, and it's why I hate nursing homes. Grandma in the home. The last time I saw my great-grandmother, she was laying in a bed in a nursing home in her room, and she was wailing, begging to go home. My brother and I stood back from her bed while her father tried to explain over and over again that she would not be going home. He wouldn't even look at her. I still remember hearing her cry as we walked away and she begged for my father, her grandson, just let her go home. That memory remains to this day one of the most heartbreaking moments of my life. I don't know how he was able to walk out of that building. It's a sketch. I haven't done much with it yet. So. This is Man in the Pharmacy. I waited 5 minutes. I'm running behind and I need to get to the window. But this old man keeps talking to the tech and I see her smiling, chatting, while they bob back and forth. He grunts. I look at my watch until the guy wanders off, looks back, waves, and I say to her that I'm in a hurry, act put off. She says to me, maybe this is when he gets to talk to someone. I leave looking down, see him by the carts, with 5 feet of shame between us. So somebody was talking about when we get cremated, or people get cremated. Now that's how I'm going to go. But I was thinking about my dad's choice for cremation, and anyway, this popped. When I die, if spirits can wander, I think I'll catch a breeze that carries me to Oak Creek Canyon. I will look for my father among the pines and river rocks where his ashes were spread, see if he communes with the bears, the elk, the cougar, and I'll see if he has found peace there, free of all that hurt him. And if I find him, I'll smile, wrap ethereal arms around his smoky visage, and learn why he chose to be scattered among the river rocks and pines, and show him why I came to see. This, I was just thinking about how we move things, and then it makes, anyway. The bookcase can go over there, where the small table is now. I'll need to dust. Man, there's a lot of dust. Is that an old credit card under the leg of the table? Is that a dice and those dust bunnies? I guess I've got to go downstairs, get the broom from the closet. I'm kind of tired. Maybe I'll just leave everything where it is, leave the old credit card under the leg of the table, because if I throw it in the trash man might try to use it, and the cops would show up and hassle me, ask questions, try to look past me at my stuff, scan my place. Yeah, I think maybe the bookcase is in a great spot. What was I thinking anyway? 2 short quickies. St. Patty's and Moritz. St. Patty's Day poem at Moritz pub. If it's wall-to-wall green, smiles like shamrocks, liquid gold gathers it into this Kansas rainbow, while the clinging of glasses and chatter of voices celebrate the Irish in each of us. the poem, the pub, and a hearty toast to this place where on this day we find our sona, we find our song. That's pretty good. Thank you.
Next up is Brenda White.
All right. Okay. The pieces that I'm reading are from my thesis that I wrote like 30, 40 years ago. Wow, a while. And I'm working right now. I'm going to bring it out as a collection, so I thought I'd read pieces for a bit. The first one is called Invitation. An open window at the writing workshop invites me to heft myself to its lip, free fall into the black outside, away from public shame of my poem, and bly, when suddenly a vampire fits his face in that space of my temptation, sends his laugh into the room, and is gone in a flash of lace, gold hair, and moldy velvet falling like the moon. Quickly, the dead are resurrected by the young. Reason startles round the room, takes a few deep breaths to settle in the chairs, and lively, we return to Bly. My heart fandangos in my chest. I can't feel for the rest, but fear sparks stars beneath my skin. Imaginary fiends exist. We can't be mortally kissed aside from images, pictures, objective correlatives, and other such intellectual myth, whether we invite spirit in or no. Okay, this one I wrote for the time change, way back when. It's called Springing Forward. Always at this hour and from far away, some snidely whiplash determines I must rise an hour early, though the clocks remain the same. And always at this hour and from close up, I forget. Hell is Sunday morning with 20 minutes to dress, stretch across the town and be at work. My dash out the door is a jog underwater. My car slogging at the speed of dream pursuit is almost in reverse. Yet I arrive with 2 minutes sparing to curse that time magician who has snatched an hour of life into nothing, deftly as a tablecloth whisked from underplaced settings in silver. The clocks alone are fixed poles between now and this younger now, those missing minutes coagulating in space, while the angel of lost hours sculpts stars from that mass of misplaced sleep. All right. This poem happened because I was doing an independent study with Dev Hathaway, writing fiction, and I made the mistake of ending what I was working on with just 2 lines across the top of one page and left him an entire blank page. And he proceeded to twist my story into something unreal, so I took his ideas and doctored up with mine, and this became this poem. Outside Lavina's pet store, Grandma pulls a semi-automatic from her bag, randomly assails patrons at the mall's courtyard eatery who are looking for gray vacuums and car mufflers. Lavina took my little baby, she screams. And as one man dives to take his brother's bullets, the baby, a gray dog, runs away, dragging orange neon behind him like a comet's tail. Meanwhile, someone subdues Grandma in a Vulcan pinch. Tied up in a Sears & Company plastic bag, she's left at the return counter. No receipt, no return address, nothing happy about it. Just the buzz of a kazoo as she exhales inside the bag. At the eatery tables, the saved man cradles his brother, pleading, "We'll never eat at this mall again. All of our old baseball cards are yours." The dog is returned and laughs from the puddle of spilled Coke, his leash a lifeless snake. "I can see up that girl's dress," murmurs the wounded man. "She's wearing boxer shorts with little blue stars on them. Looks just like heaven." I'm going to read one last piece, and it's a newer piece that's not going to be in this collection, but I wanted to read it anyway. Some of you have already heard it. Gardening with Grandma. Grandma and I read a gardening tome with growing tips from 200 to 300 years past. One tip that stood out was a sign when planting should occur.
A gardener needed to know when soil was warm enough for seeds to germinate and sprout. How early to plant. It was best, said gardener, go to field or garden patch, drop his drawers, and sit upon soil to gauge its temperature. If one sat there comfortably, it was time to sow. But chilly earth on one's derriere determined conditions weren't right. For all of spring's cool mornings, we asked each other, is it time to check the soil? You first. No, you. We laughed and laughed, and then opened the current almanac.
Last but not least, Angel Edenburn.
Since the theme was works in progress, this is what I'm working on for the online zine, Writing from the Center. And it's a lady about my age. And the idea of a walk along the lake trail sounded wonderful. She gathered the necessities and drove scant miles to the trailhead. Armed with her compass, a good application of bug repellent, cell phone, water bottle, sensible shoes and clothing, and her walking staff, she set her feet on the narrow path. The gentle breeze brought the smells, the sugary scent, bruised grasses and currant bushes with their sunny yellow blossoms beckoning the birds and bees, the ambitious calls of the male pheasants and turkeys trying to outshout the meadowlarks seeking mates, while up ahead was a small meadow with colorful wildflowers and pale green new-growth grass. She stopped to sniff the air. Something was wrong. What she saw made her lips draw back in a snarl. A half-grown white-tailed deer was running around, panicking, smashing down the growing hay. Two werewolves nipped and lunged at their prey. The animal was showing signs of exhaustion, flared nostrils, rapid breathing, heaving sides, and wide eyes. Hey, knock it off! She knew she had to put a stop to this harassment. It was inhumane as well as illegal. The werewolves turned to look at her. Gathering the shreds of its resolve, the deer waved its tail and leapt into the brush, crashing a hasty retreat. The pair exchanged a look before advancing on her. She hefted her walking staff, keeping it at the ready. Get out here. The smaller one on her left bared its teeth, while the larger one sauntered over and raised his leg on a sapling in an undeniable gesture. You don't want to do this. She flipped her eyes from one to the other, and then back. From their odor, both of them were young and male. That meant they had an abundance of testosterone and probably not enough self-control. The wind changed, blowing from the opposite direction. Her aggressors stopped, sniffing the air. She understood their confusion, but refused to clarify anything for them. They needed a lesson in manners. The smaller one advanced, clicking his teeth, and the larger one made as if to flank her, circling around to her left. She let out a long sigh, dropping her staff on the ground. If you insist.
All right, that wraps it up for tonight. I want to thank again Rebecca Curry and this Library and Archives for hosting us. Thank you to everybody that read, and we'll see you at the next one.